Hi, I'm Beth Behrs. I'm about to give Marie Claire a sneak peek into my absolute favorite room in my whole house, my personal library. Welcome to Shelf Portrait. We just moved, and my husband is absolutely appalled at the fact that I am doing this before all the books are organized by author and genre. So this is going to be sort of an abstract view of our bookshelf, which will eventually be much more organized. We love books. It's something that my husband and I bonded on when we first met. We're both avid readers, always have been our whole lives. So having a personal library and special books around, always surrounding us in our house, is really important to us. We also love horses. So you might see horses all around as well. Quarantine hobby, learning how to play the banjo, but more on that soon. We have different tastes in books. I feel like my husband likes more fiction and I like more nonfiction. My husband won a SAG award with Mad Men, cast of Mad Men. We're very proud of it. So we keep it here on this bookshelf to show off to everybody that he's won an award and I haven't. So this book is my Bible. It is on my nightstand every night. I open it whenever I need any sort of pick-me-up, especially during these trying times of 2020. It is called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. It is just truly a book that I would recommend everyone, especially women, young, old, read multiple times. If I read this 1,000 times, it wouldn't be enough. I say two sayings from this book every day. We can do hard things, and the braver I am, the luckier I get. My favorite genre is nonfiction. I love, as I said, autobiographies and biographies, but I also love spiritual texts and self-help and books about science of the brain and sound. I think if I wasn't an actress, I would probably have been some sort of scientist, neuroscientist, or psychiatrist. Is there a book you've never been able to finish? Yes, the Eco-Criticism Reader, Landmarks in Literary Ecology. It's a book of essays, but there's an incredible essay in here called The Comic Mode. And I've read and reread this essay 100 times, but I haven't read any other essays in this book. And probably will never read other essays in this book. Comedy is a celebration, a ritual renewal of biological welfare as it persists in spite of any reasons there may be for feeling metaphysical despair. Literary comedy depicts the loss of equilibrium and its recovery. So basically, to me, this means that comedy can restore us back to our true selves and help us all come together in community and love. I am a huge autobiography fan, and this one is called This Time Together, Laughter and Reflection by Carol Burnett. She is my personal comedy hero. I grew up watching the Carol Burnett show repeats with my grandma, and then basically lived out a bucket list dream getting to perform with her on the Carol Burnett special that aired on CBS a few years ago, where I got to meet her and we got to watch old clips from the show and talk about comedy. And it was truly one of the most proud moments of my career so far. And the next morning, she wrote me a personal email to thank me, and it was said, quote, "You are adorable." And I have it printed out, and yes, it is framed up in my bedroom. My favorite childhood book was Black Beauty. This actually isn't an edition from childhood. My husband bought me this early edition as a birthday present, and it's one of my most cherished possessions. I recently spent all day and night reading this incredible book, The Source, The Secrets of the Universe, The Science of the Brain by Tara Swart. And basically this book talks about how we can actually change the neural pathways in our brain in order to attract, manifest, and basically get all the things in life that we want. Not from a frou-frou hippie perspective, but from actual science. So one of my new quarantine hobbies during this lockdown has been learning how to play the banjo. It's always been my favorite instrument. I've always wanted the time to learn how to play, and I finally have all the time in the world to learn. And also during this quarantine, I have started a podcast called Harmonics, which is about the healing power of music, creativity, and the intersection of wellness and spirituality that comes along with creativity. And one of my first interviews was with an incredible musician and banjo player, Allison Russell, of the bands Our Native Daughters and Birds of Chicago. And in our interview, we talk about the history of the banjo and its Haitian and Caribbean roots. And she recommended that I read this beautiful book, which, as you can see, I've already highlighted and marked my favorite sections because it's quickly becoming one of my favorites. My dear friend Kate Halfstead gives me the best book recommendations. She is a farmer and actually a hat maker. She has introduced me to one of my all-time favorite books that didn't unfortunately make this list, but that I love so much, called Braiding Sweetgrass, another one called Temperance Creek. Really books that deal with Mother Earth and nature. Being a farmer, she's so connected to the land, and she's also an artist, a beautiful artist. So we have a lot in common because I love nature and reading about anything and everything having to do with that. My husband and I love to travel. We have had some incredible experiences all over the world, and one of the first things we do when we get to a city is find the local bookstores. One of our favorites is Shakespeare & Co., which is in France, and we absolutely love it. I am a huge poetry fan, and my favorite poet of all time is the incredible Mary Oliver. This book, Devotions, has been well loved and marked in many different places with my favorite poems. And I loved the poem Why I Wake Early so much that I actually had it engraved here, and it stays right by my bed, and every morning I read this poem when I first wake up. My answer is both, because usually I bring both. I love a hard copy if it's a book that I absolutely love. If it's a book that I'm not sure I'm gonna love so much, I'll usually download it to the e-reader and start it. But what's happened multiple times is I'll start the book on the e-reader and then love it so much and end up buying it. So I kind of pay double, which doesn't really make sense. Do you make notes or highlight lines as you read? Yes, I've shown you multiple books that I've done that to. It just kind of stings for my husband because he doesn't like then to share books that I've already read because they're all dog-eared, highlighted, noted, underlined, and very well loved. I tend to bring books everywhere. In nature, the woods, the ocean, around trees, grass, and with my pup in my lap by my side. She is the best reading partner. This is Betty. This book, The Principles of Uncertainty by Myra Coleman, was gifted to me by the incredible Joan Rivers. I was working for her at the Geffen Playhouse. She was doing a run of a show there, and every day before the show, I would go over to her house and we would run lines. She was a super hard worker and wanted to run the show every single day, the full 2-hour show, before she went and did the show live. And I was hired to go over and be basically her reader and run the show with her. She treated me like a granddaughter. She cooked me eggs for breakfast and ice cream and had people come over and do our nails. And it was one of the most special times of my life by another comedian who I just loved and adored. And she gifted me this book at the end of the run. And I just love it. It has beautiful illustrations and musings about life, and it just makes me think of her. And I remember asking her as a young actress at UCLA, about to graduate from the theater program, and what should I know about this business? What's your best advice? And Joan said to me, kid, you can only sleep your way to the middle. That was advice number one, which she's not wrong. Not that I've ever done that, but she's not wrong. I would recommend When Things Fall Apart, Hard Advice for Difficult Times by Pema Chodron. I think that's how you say it. This book is another one I keep on my nightstand, and I think it'd be so much fun to talk about with a book club. Usually when we have, anxiety, fear, pain, our first instinct is to push it down or disassociate and try to get it away. And what she teaches is this process of Tonglen, which the practice is breathing in the anxiety, the pain, the fear, and breathing out love, safety, security. And what I love about it is you're basically taking in the pain and then breathing out the love to the rest of the world. And by doing it, somehow it makes you feel not only more interconnected and less alone, but it also, by not running away from the fear or the anxiety, it helps you get through it quicker and makes you stronger. You gotta feel it to heal it. Thank you for watching Shelf Portrait. Be sure to check out my new podcast, Harmonics, coming wherever you get your podcasts very soon. And don't forget to subscribe to Marie Claire.